Welcome everyone to tonight's episode. Today, as you can tell, I'm going to do Death and Scorpio. But first, let's introduce ourselves once again. My name is Krista, and I am your resident seer of Sight in the Dark Tarot. And we are going to continue to work through both the Tree of Life and the Zodiac and the Tarot, which basically have a lot in common. They're not quite the same thing. However, we are going to go through those as much as possible. And as usual, I am going to go through a bit of the elements, the goddesses and gods that are in there, the number 13, the sign of Scorpio, and we'll touch a little bit on some other symbolism. I have a lot of notes. So here we go, and it's time to squeegee off that eye. So that inner vision, so we can have some nice sight in the dark here, especially with a dark topic like death and transformation and the sign of Scorpio. So without further ado, I'm going to show you the cards. Now, hopefully everything stays clear and focused. This is my second time doing this video, so I'm not going to put the cards right up to the camera. I'm just going to hold it here. So this is the Death card in the Rider-Waite Tarot, and as we can see, we have the black and the white, and we have the skeleton. We have the skeleton riding that pale horse of death, with his black flag and his white poppy, his white upside down pentacle, and the number 13, with a lot of death in his wake, and he is advancing upon the living. So that is this symbolism in this tarot here. I'll get to my other one in a moment. Here we have, it's kind of a bright and sunny, happy painting, so I'm just going to try to get it so it doesn't blur me out this time. But if you can tell, that is a phoenix. So what better representation of transformation and death than the phoenix? So just keep in mind, we have a nice phoenix arising from its own ashes after a process, kind of like a butterfly issuing from a cocoon. So we have the caterpillar going in, then it becomes this morass, this soup, this entanglement of parts where it dissolves and then it puts itself back together, transforms while it's in its chrysalis, and then emerges in a completely different form than what it went in, with completely new abilities. And that is also akin to the Phoenix and the Death card in this deck here. So, as with every video, I'm always in spirit. So today I am wearing black, although another color for Scorpio is blue-green, specifically dark blue-green. So that is also one of my favorite colors, by the way, as is black. And of course, I have half of me I am death, half of me I am life, and that is also a stand-in for a nod to the life, death, life mother goddesses. If you've read Women Who Run with the Wolves, oh wow, I highly recommend that to everyone, not just women. There is a lot of life, death, life symbolism in that book. And considering wolves are one of the animals of the moon and can fit into the life, death, life, and darkness paradigm, that's appropriate as well. So yes, Women Who Run with the Wolves. I forget the author's name, but it's a very popular book, and you feel free to look it up and really tuck into that book and have a good read. It's really, really good. So, as I said, I have notes and I have other materials, and we're going to get right to it. So, as I pointed to before in one of my other videos, I like this book. It's by Alan Moore. It's called Promethea. And this is just the second compendium, so don't let book 2 throw you off. That is not I don't even know which issue I'm looking at here, but it is the one about the death card, or the path of death on the tree of life. So we have Route 24 on our way up to Route 13, and or 13 rather, as the symbolism of death, and Scorpio. And we have the nice little Grim Reaper guy with his scythe, and we have beetles, scarabs, and scorpions, of course. On here, the ladies are going up the path, up the tree of life, and they're going from Netzach, the sphere of emotions, and a lower representation of water, so emotions and such, as I was saying, to the sphere of Tifereth, which is the sphere of the heart and the sun. So I covered Tifereth in my very first video on Gemini, and I also touched on it again in my second video for Leo and the sun, and I touched on the on Netzach in another video on the Empress and Venus and Taurus. Also, the Empress is also sort of, no, not the Empress. Venus is representative of Libra as well, but that's more so to do with the Justice card. That's in an upcoming video about Justice and Libra. But Taurus and the Empress, as well as Lucifer, Venus, and any other name we have in that other video, and a reference to Netzach, and then in my other videos about Tifereth, the Sun, and Leo and Gemini. Those topics are covered in those videos. So we have the people, the main characters in the book are going from Netzach to Tifereth. So they have to die. They're in the lower kind of the lower triad of the tree of life, and between the intellect as imagination, the intellect as human intellect and thinking and mental plane, and the realm of emotions and emotionality, and the plane of feelings, if you want to put it that way. So they're in there, and now they want to pass through one of the first veils into more clarity. So they're going to go to the sphere of the heart, the sphere of the sun, but in order to go from there, you need to pass through the gate of death. And this is a metaphorical death this time, because they already died physically the first time. They're going to die yet again when they get even higher to cross the abyss, but we're so not there yet when we're here. We are only we're only way down the tree right now. So this is a metaphorical death, and as you can see, everything, even the concepts of their magical weapons, everything gets sliced up, and then they are ready to go and advance. And then we have the Grim Reaper just kind of looking at them like, oh, this is so usual. And then we're headed into the sphere of gold. So we went from silver to gold. So with the Yesod, as far as the silver goes, and the moon, and then even though we took a little detour across some other planets, we are going directly into the sun, and then we're going to go through the unknown sphere, or the sphere of the unknown, the Sephiroth that is both, that both is and isn't, Da'ath, and then on to the crown, Keter, way at the top. But for now, while we are down in the death realm, I just want to point out again that death is also mutation and transformation. So just like that butterfly and that phoenix. So I'm going to put my phoenix card away, and we're going to deal with the death card in the Rider-Waite deck. So I'm just going to give a little, I'm going to read something. It's in one of those little white books on tarot. So death, 13 death. closing the door to the past and opening a new one, going through transition, changing status, so keep that in mind, change, shedding the old and excess, so keep that in mind, shedding and rebirth, and bowing to inexorable forces, sweeping changes. So inexorable forces. So keep in mind the book that I just showed you, or the graphic novel I just showed you, with the main characters having to pass through a death. They were kind of decimated before they went into the sphere of the sun, which is the highest realm of human experience. That's your Christ consciousness, your Christedness, your golden ray of light. And there's a lot of fish and Christ symbolism going along with that sphere too. But as far as death is concerned, that inexorable force was something that they had to go through. They had to kill off all the ideas of who they were as far as their mental and emotional realms were concerned. And only the purer parts of them could pass through into the realm of the sun, into the realm of being a Christ. The old must be set aside and burned away to make for the new. So, now as far as that theme goes, there is in mythology, we have the goddess Inanna, and she makes her descent into the underworld where she meets her sister goddess, Ereshkigal. And I'm going to just go through her journey. So, once again, Inanna, Isis, Venus, morning star, evening star, hell. It's all basically all meshed together in various mythologies, and then you just have to tease them apart, and it's just so interesting. It's so fun to do. And one of the joys that comes to me whenever I get to just channel it out into these videos here. So we have Inanna going down. She's making her way down into the underworld. And she wears 7 layers of protection. And then when she gets down to the bottommost layer of the underworld, her sister is there. Well, it might not be the bottommost, that's for more mythology. But anyway, for all intents and purposes, especially the intensive ones, we have Ereshkigal at the bottom here. And when Inanna is facing her sister, she is at this point between life and death. And then in order to pass through the underworld, just like the other people with our ideas of light being good, these people just had darkness being a good representation of good in these mythologies. Because either way, whether you go through the light path or the dark path, whether you're a light worker or a dark worker, both of you are going to be the same thing. It all comes out in the wash as the same thing. So whatever your polarity here on Earth, whatever your pleasure, it really doesn't matter if you follow through with your path all the way, and then you will be able to be a more balanced individual like me. Look, yeah, okay. Anyway, so we're in front of Ereshkigal. So we have these 7 layers of protection, and we're going to take them off now because we need to be naked and honest and only our true selves without any accoutrement, just us, naked before our reflection. So when we pass through that veil, there's not just no more protection like a good thing. There's no protection as in any way, any layer of clothing or projection or accoutrement can affect you or get in the way of your uttermost purity. Okay, so we're cleansing. We are being cleansed. We're not walking in through the spin cycle with our clothes on and incidentally washing our clothes but still having baggage with us. We are walking through that spin cycle naked. And the only thing that is going to make it out the other side is the true us. So you take off your layers of protection, you face yourself, the dark version of yourself. You pass through that mirror veil and whoosh, you're over onto the other side. You go through your dark night and back up. Okay. So, there's not only Inanna who does this, but Persephone in Greek mythology. So, Persephone, she's walking along with her friends in, I think it's Elysium or something. And if I'm wrong, that is so the least part of the mythology. So just, it's okay. So Persephone is walking around with all her friends and they're like, ooh, apples, ooh, this, ooh, that, great, we're having a fun time. And then her mother, Demeter, is like, oh my god, okay, Persephone should be home soon. Oh, damn, it's like 6 o'clock. All right, I'm just going to go call for her. So she calls Persephone, Persephone. Persephone's nowhere to be found. Where Persephone is, if we cut to another screen here, Persephone got lured into the underworld by Hades, the king of the underworld, Zeus's brother, Pluto. Anyway, and we have this realm here, the underworld. This is where the dead go, okay? This is one of the realms of the dead. And then Demeter's like, oh my god, I am so angry. For half the year I'm gonna be like in total mourning, and it's total anger fest, and I am not going to fertilize the grounds. You are not gonna have food. There will be no fruit on the trees. There will be no flowers coming out of the ground. There will be no grass for your cows to eat or your goats to eat. There will be nothing. There will be no food. We are freezing things up. Your water's not running from its spring sources. There's nothing. Like nothing until I get my daughter back. Let me make a deal with Hades. Okay. So Hades is like, okay, enough with the kidnapping and the raping. I guess my fun's over. So let's make a deal, Demeter. Okay, sure. Persephone can go. You can get your daughter back. But if she eats anything from the underworld, and I mean one flippin' seed, one thing, for half the year she's mine. So Demeter is like, okay, great. Okay, Persephone, come on, let's go. I mean, like post haste, let's go. Let's get out of the underworld. And then before Persephone hears her mother saying, okay, let's go, she's like, pomegranates. These look tasty. Yum, yum, yum. She eats a few seeds. Then she goes back up to the surface. Everything's happy again. Everything is completely blooming and blossoming. There are flowers, there are berries, there's grass, there's water. The sun comes out. It's brilliant. The rain's cleared. Everything's perfect. Food, abundance. And someone comes knocking from the underworld and they're like, ma'am, I'm afraid your daughter ate something of the underworld, and as per our contract, she has to be my wife for 6 months out of the year. Since you agreed to this, this is the way it's gonna happen. So in about 6 months, I'm going to come and collect her, and she's gonna live with me for 6 months, and then I'll let her go up and live with you for the rest of the year, for the remaining 6 months. So Demeter, although angry, had to abide by the contract. Persephone went down into the otherworld 6 months later, after spending 6 jovial, joyous months on the surface with her mother in abundance. And then basically Demeter is just full of rancor and sadness and bitterness for the part of the year wherein all the land becomes pretty much barren of fruit and food for animals and humans alike. So we have that mythology of going into the underworld and coming back up. That is in common in these myths. Also, we have transformation of the butterfly and the phoenix, like I explained at the beginning. There is another thing that I wanted to point out in the card, but I'll get to that in a moment. So I'll just go through my notes and I'll watch for time. I know these videos are a bit lengthy, but man, like I said, once I get talking on a subject I love, it just all comes out in a big channel, like whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And whatever is there, that is what is supposed to be there for whoever watches at the time and whenever you watch it. So we have life, death, life mothers, as I said. So most of the dark goddesses, like the Morrigan, even Hecate coming into the new maiden again, that aspect, that cusp, that would be here. Oh yes, Inanna and Ereshkigal, of course. Okay, oh, Persephone, animals like ravens and wolves and butterflies, scorpions and beetles. And snakes are also associated with the death card. So we have some dark goddesses like the Wolf Mother and the death goddesses who bring life. So if you did read Women Who Run with the Wolves, we have one of those mother goddesses, those crone / gonna be maiden mother goddesses, singing over the bones of a wolf. And so we have the wolf that dies and decays, and then there's just bones there. And then this goddess of life and death sings songs of life at the bones. And then the bones arise into a new wolf, and it is ready to live again. So it's about dissolution and putrefaction and transformation, rebirth, could be transfiguration as well. A lot of mortality here, but more so metaphorical, but also literal, as in just a base example. When you make a compost, you get this rich, this nutrient-dense soil that you can plant food or pretty flowers in. So something that renews life from matter that has decayed. That is one of the themes of Scorpio, of the death card. So we have also in Mayan mythology, Central American mythology, Keme, or Simi, also when we're looking more up north in Mexico, but more down south, let's say Guatemala, we have the Nahual Keme, and that is the death Nahual. So this character is called the Transformer. So as you can see, even in other mythologies, such as Mayan cosmovision mythologies, death is also seen as a transformer. It basically is only mostly in a Western society where we think of death as a bad thing, that, you know, all this macabre themes, all these depressing themes come in. But in most cultures throughout history, they saw death as something different. They saw it as a transformation point. They saw it as a transformation. They saw it as, although they missed people, of course, they missed their loved ones. They missed this one. They, you know, you have somebody walking down the street every day and you say hello, and then all of a sudden he's gone. I mean, that they yes, yeah, the gravity of death, it was not, didn't escape anybody. But they didn't just mourn. They also added the element of, from things that decay, from things that dissolve, life arises. And it's also about clearing space. This vessel was no longer needed, so it dissolved into its constituent parts and then gave all of its chemicals and all of its fuel to the earth, the sky, and everyone else, like for everyone else to use, so nature can just Lego block it back together in a different form that suits its purpose. So maximum usability and life from death, rebirth from decay. Those themes are prevalent in many societies around the world as far as their mythologies go. Okay, so we have the angel Barkiel, is a representative of this card, and its scents are dragon's blood and lotuses. So we have healing. Okay, so we have something that happened, something that destroyed, and now it's about to be healed with the dragon's blood. And then as far as a lotus goes, when you think of a lotus, it's usually in like a cesspool, like a very, very dirty, swampy water, full of decay, full of natural decay. But from it springs this flower, this 1,000-petaled flower, full of beauty. So we have the healing and that theme as well. Beauty out of decay. So, the Reaper and the Scythe. So everybody knows what the Grim Reaper is. And the Scythe, that is a weapon of Saturn. So we even have, in the glyphs of Saturn, we have the cross with the sickle down. In the glyph of Jupiter, we have the cross with the sickle up. I think of it as Jupiter is ready to go and expand, and Saturn has put his sickle down because the time of work has ended, and now we're conforming and constricting. Now, truly, Saturn is Bina on the tree of life. So I don't want to confuse Saturn too much with the death goddesses. However, there is a similarity, or a connection rather, with Hecate, that crescent sickle of the moon, and Bina and Saturn. So we have the crone energy there, the death energy. So that is as deep as I want to go into it for now. But just know the death energy is also with Saturn. However, here with metaphorical death and literal death, but metaphorical death, when we're talking about the Grim Reaper and his scythe, that is for cutting that veil, that whoosh, okay? And we're just cutting the illusion of time at this point. So that's what Saturn also has to do with. It's time. Think of Kronos and Cronus, but Kronos, the Titan of time, is an analog to Saturn. And Saturn is not only a planet, but the god that is an analog of Kronos, the one who eats his children, the one who tried to eat Zeus but failed. But anyway, so that is stopping time and stopping form, like holding form in a mode of stasis and stopping time. So think about it, whenever we're at the point of death, we are stopping the living formation from continuing to hold its shape. There is a line where there is no time whatsoever between living and the beginning of decay. And then, as time resumes, the body begins to decay. The old character starts to decay. The old you starts to decay. So that is the symbolism, one of the symbolism of the Grim Reaper, the grim figure in his Reaper. So we have that time, that it's cutting the ties of time and allowing newness of forms to emerge as old forms dissolve. So it's a concomitant happening. Two things are happening at once on either side of the scythe of time doing the cutting. So we have my left and right halves also as a representation in this video. So, so the house of sex and death, I have so many notes, I don't think I'm going to get through them, but that's cool. Okay, the house of sex and death, so house number 8, that's the house of Scorpio on the wheel of the zodiac, or in your natal chart, for example. Number 8 is traditionally represented and holds the energy of Scorpio. So the reason why it is the house of sex and death and transformation is because it's on either side of life. What's on one side of life? Sex. What's on another side, on the other side of life? Death. What's in the middle? Transformation. So we have beginnings and endings and the transformation in between. As when you think of a person, you always change. You're always in change, okay? But you have this energy. Your energy is going in two directions at once. So we have your building energy and your decaying energy. But it's all happening simultaneously. So that's the transformation. And in between, to bookend, we have sex and death. So, it's also the place, the kind of like the realm of dreams as well, and divination and truth. So all of these, dreams, sex, divination, and the truth, they alter your state of consciousness from the base one of Malkuth, the material world, the sham consciousness, basically, where everything's made manifest, therefore only true to their form, but not anything else. And into the life, death, life realm. So they take you out of this weird sham existence and they put you into the realm of truth, these altered states. Also, I think Arcturus, if I'm not mistaken, I wrote it down as Arcturus. I think that's what it is. If I am mistaken, correct me. But that is the fixed star in the constellation of Scorpio. So there's also the rulerships of Scorpio, which is Mars and Pluto. So if you think about it, traditionally in astrology anyway, Pluto, although one of the newer planets in astrology, it's still the planet of transformation, death and transformation. And Mars is an original ruler of Scorpio. So we have that forceful, fiery nature. Even though Scorpio is a water sign, Scorpio is like boiling water. Like it is the fieriest water sign. It does deep transformation by burning away, and it also does deep transformation via its water element. So it's kind of like the power of water, the decaying power of water. It's that ability to dissolve, but not in like a super pretty way. Scorpio's okay with getting down with the like all of the parts of death and seeing the beauty in that, because ultimately we're going from the death of who we think we are into our divinity of that Christed light. So we're not going to have time to hum and haw and make judgments over what's beautiful and what's ugly in the process of death in the material realms of existence. We're even with that, even with some of the most toughest themes of nature, we can see the beauty whenever we arise into that sphere of beauty. So, yeah, to enter the upper realms, or rather the middle realms, you need to die or transform to enter. Okay, so Yes. So for the card number 13, the death card, Barkiel is the angel that represents this. And you can imbue the card 13, the death card, as a talisman. And the purpose of which is to initiate change. So that's another thing you can do with tarot cards that I never mentioned before. And that's okay. Now you know. So you can imbue your major arcana with angels that mean a certain thing. Because like when you're talking about an angel, it's more like a title. It's kind of like saying police officer or receptionist or astrologer or doctor, okay, or lifeguard. So that title, it's not the angel's name. The angel is an energy that is that rocks the quality of that title. Okay, so it's not Krista is a police officer. It's this energy is Barkiel. Okay, when we're talking the angel of transformation. So it's like this entity is a cop right now, and it is doing cop things. So Barkiel is the angel of change in transformation. So it is doing transformation via the energy that is called the angel Barkiel. So you can imbue that as a talisman, and to initiate a change in any situation. And finally, yes. So the transformation and the path, the quality of the entity that is the transformer, which is the entity of death. That's how manifestation is also made. So basically, you have the muck of your karma and all the things you do in this life that aren't perfectly erased and cancel each other out. So anything that you have piled up. And then when you remove that muck from your manifestation, it's kind of like having, let's say the muck is a bowl of water and the manifestation is a pebble inside. Well, when you lift out that pebble from the bowl of water, the water comes off, and there we have the pebble that is your manifestation. So when all the karma comes off of what you're trying to manifest, the manifestation is already there. That pebble is already there. That job is already there. That person who you could fall in love with is already there. But what you have to do is you have to remove the muck, the karma that covers the item or person or job or whatever, the manifestation. And then as you take off the water or the muck or the karma, that pebble or person or condition or job or state of perfect health or whatever your goal is, that is made manifest. So it already exists, but the muck just has to come off. So whenever you invoke such an energy like the angel of Barkiel and you imbue this as a talisman, you bring towards you the means by which, the paths through which, the channels through which that manifestation can come to you, okay? Can be in your presence faster. And it's all about clearing away, especially, like it always is, but especially when it comes to this card, because this card is about, well, one of the cards, because these are one of the cards that's about clearing the way. It's making space. It's clearing away things. It's cleaning off. It's decaying. It's dissolving. It's putrefying. It's making a soup with ingredients so your thing can be made manifest from those ingredients, or be rendered as this whole and complete thing that it always was, but now the muck of karma, you've polished the glass so you can actually see the item now, the job now, the person now, by invoking this process of transformation to happen for the situation that you need it to happen in. So, there's a few more notes. I'm trying to just figure out which I want to include, but I think that's it. I will just read the last page of notes. So, the Hebrew letter for death is Nun, N-U-N, and that is the fish. And the fish is a symbol of life beneath the creepy dark waters of the unknown mush. And I called that death soup. So the planet Mars is fire energy in its lowest form. So that is impulse and putrefaction. And wherein the final forms of life develop. So the scorpion it's originally from the scorpion with that tail, that stinging tail. It will commit suicide when it's surrounded by a ring of fire. So that's where that symbolism comes from. And also the serpent is another symbol, as we said before, and that is of regeneration. So here's something, a little interesting tidbit that I'm going to leave this on. The Messiah is also called the Redeemer, is also called the Christ, is also called the serpent. So, as I said before, the serpent is also a, like a play on words. It's not a play on words. It's the same words, same meaning, same numerological meaning, different word, but meaning the same thing. So the concept is the same. So the snake and the Christ can both mean Messiah, can both mean Redeemer. So Jesus and the serpent are both redeemers whenever you look at it in this numerological way. And that is something that is really fun to find out, and then so much more makes sense whenever you look at stories like the Garden of Eden and the tree and the snake and knowledge, okay, and redemption through knowledge via a serpent. Things start to make way more sense now. So we have so the fish, the scorpion, the serpent, and also Teth. The letter Teth is the letter for Leo. Incidentally, it's also the serpent. So although Leo is the lion and the sun, it's also the serpent and the Christ. So now that your mind is properly blown, I'll just finish the rest of my notes, and then I will call death upon this video. So we have the life, death, life, but this is also the rhythmic serpent and the male energy, and it is also the eagle. Remember, that's another symbol of Scorpio in its exaltation above solid matter. So the dance of death is the scythe of Saturn. Saturn is structure of existing things and of time and space. And the scythe of Saturn is also the scythe of death, which is also death dancing. And then when you think of Shiva, when it comes to Hindu mythology, we have Shiva as one of the death gods, and he is either perfectly still and observing, or dancing his eternal dance, dancing his eternal death dance, dancing his eternal death dance of transformation, dancing his eternal death dance of transformation into life, dancing his eternal death dance of transformation into life as transformation into death. So this is just one more thing that Saturn, death, Shiva, all these transformative qualities have in common. And finally, there are a whole bunch of things as far as fish, which is the sign of Scorpio, or sorry, which is the letter that is represented by Nun. which is a Hebrew letter, and that letter is representative of the sign of Scorpio, and that is of the fish. So the fish and the serpent, the scorpion, and the eagle are all symbols and signs of the sign of Scorpio and the concept of death as transformation. So I will leave you with that information tonight on Scorpio and the death card and the number 13. So with that, I wish you a very happy evening and enjoy the night. So I'm signing off. Krista, your resident seer of Sight in the Dark Tarot, and have a great evening.